Welcome to the Burgundy and Gold Knuckleheads podcast. As always, win or lose, but it's win this week. My main man, Reggie. What's going on, Reg?
What's up, Ken? How you doing, man?
Man, after a win like that against the Raiders, I'm doing well. I'm doing real well. My voice might be a little scratchy still, but you might hear that through the podcast. You're a little crackling, and scratchy, like like I'm 14 years old again. But yeah,
So you're hitting puberty, is what you're telling me.
it's going to sound like it once or twice, at least in the show.
So is this from the game?
I think so. Oh man, see you hear? I mean, if I start going up on my voice and get a little excited, but maybe I'll just stay mellow. If I stay mellow, man, we'll be okay.
Your voice can't still be in preseason mode, man. Come on now.
Well, it's in game, right? Because I mean, if I'm watching it at the bar, I'm not chanting defense and I'm not yelling just to make noise. I'm just celebrating, and then I have nice conversations. But
okay,
I'm a fan, so I'm giving it my all. This voice was given to the team. It was given to the win. I feel like it's part of the win. I'm just gonna go on a limb.
Okay. Well, folks, if you're not picking up on this, because Ken and I was actually, excuse me, in DC once again, week 3 against the Las Vegas Raiders. I can't tell you how many times we heard people hollering that mess.
They tried to, right? It got nit.
Yeah, it was really drowned out. It was drowned out. But we were near some people, and they continued to yell, Raiders, that kind of thing. And I guess that's just their deal. That's what they do. If you're watching on YouTube, look like we lost Ken.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So
okay, I'll keep on going. I'm going to work on my video, but keep going.
Okay. So you lost your voice and now we done lost the video, but so I don't know what's going on with that, but anyway, yeah, I was just simply saying that, the Raider fans, I was actually quite surprised at the number of Raider fans there. I've heard that they travel well. And I can bear witness to that and say they actually do. Again, with the success of the Commanders last year and what the expectation is for this year, you see less of the opponents. There's more burgundy and gold, a lot more burgundy and gold that outnumbers the opposing fans. But they were there. They were there, man. They let their what do you call it? Their presence be known. They let their presence be known throughout the walking to the stadium, throughout the concourse, in their seats, doing plays. They didn't have a whole lot of plays to celebrate, but they made some noise. But as Ken pointed out, it was quickly drowned out by the burgundy and gold faithful that was in the building. So.
Yeah, and that was even week 1 with the Giants. Every time the Giants tried to start a cheer, "Let's go Giants" or whatever, the fans around they start booing and creating noise immediately to drown them out. I mean, it helps that they didn't have a lot going on in the game, but any time they tried to get something going, it was a good response from the fans around there. So.
Yeah, it certainly is was a home field advantage for Washington for sure, man. Anytime the opposing team, at least the first 2 home games that we've been to, the home team quickly was able to squash any of the cheering and things that was going on by the opponent. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think most people, if they pay attention to the Raiders, one of the things that comes along with the Raiders and the Raiders fans is it's Halloween every game at the Raiders. Right, they come out wearing all fans wear something. The Raiders, man, like I said, it is a black and silver Halloween fest. Whether it's face paint, whether it's bling, whether it's some kind of shoulder pads with spikes and a hat, and some guy dressed up like a Raider chef talking noise for about 5 minutes, and then he never came back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is a it's a Halloween fest
Well,
for
they
the boys.
certainly enjoy the costume and the dress up. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
boy's not gonna never do that. Okay, so let's
No,
just no. I'm never gonna do that kind of stuff, man. I might put some gear on and some hats, but that's about the extent of it. So it is what it is. But hey,
yeah,
that's what Raider Nation does apparently. So
yeah. And before the game, I don't want to leave out our friends that take care of us. We fly in, so we're not able to bring our cars and all the food and drinks and everything. But the guys, whether it's Eddie, whether it's Sheik, whether the guys out
Juan,
there, Juan, a lot of these
Chuck, and
guys,
Brandy,
yeah,
yeah, the whole crew.
absolutely, a lot of the people. I don't want to leave anybody out, but they take care of us, right?
Yeah,
They're handing us a drink, they're handing us a shot, they're handing us some food. They'll throw some, occasionally there's some Mardi Gras beads. There's something going on that if you're pre-gaming, and they take care of us. And I had another week of having a good time hanging out with those people.
yeah, absolutely, man. But moving on to the game, Washington obviously did their best to come out here and put the foot on the pedal with this game. We walked away with the win, obviously,
Right,
and one of the key stats here I want to point out here is Washington is 2-0 in their home start for the second consecutive season. So same thing happened yesterday. Yes, last year they started at 2-0, and this is the third year in a row where through 3 games they have a 2-1 start for 3 consecutive seasons, and this is the first time that this has happened since the 91-92 season. So this has been a long time coming for this team to have this type of early success
right.
over the few years. So this is good. These are some good things here. Hey, there's Ken. He's back.
Yeah,
Well,
I changed cameras. I switched cameras.
okay. But yeah, man. So 2-0 home start for the second consecutive year, and 2-1 start through the first 3 games for the third consecutive year has made this a good early season start. So this has been
Yeah,
good stuff.
yeah. Without a doubt, without a doubt. And um, like I said, the environment right now in Washington, going off of last year and the wins this year, has been incredible. Um, Washington pretty much took care of the game for the most part from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I mean, after a series or two, you're feeling good about what everybody's doing, and you just don't know whether offensively or defensively whether you're going to maintain that for the whole game. And Washington did. We talked before the game about for more so offensively, but also defensively of simplifying it, right? From an offense, let's get back to running. We don't want the game. Not that Mariota can't do a solid job, but we don't want to put the pressure on Mariota. We want this to be a team win. And if there was ever a week where it was a team win, this was it, right? Offensively, defensively, I think the game plan that the coaches put together on both sides, and then don't forget special teams. Special teams had a big impact this week as well. So, like I said, if there's a game that I've seen in a long while where it is a true team win, this was one of them.
Yeah, for sure, man. And going into this game, we had did our pregame podcast for this, and our confidence number that we segment that we do, which is what's our confidence number that Washington will secure the win on a scale of 1 to 10. And turns out Ken and I both put it at a 6.5, and turns out, man, we didn't really have much to worry about.
Right, right.
uh, we had some legitimate concerns. I'll say that. I think the concerns we had going into that game were very legit, but it turns out, in hindsight, we had nothing to worry about against the Raiders team, right? Whether it was the cross country travel, having played on Monday night, just the fact that we're just a better team than the Raiders, and we were able to finally not finally, but we were able to put together a game plan and execute, having a full week of preparation as opposed to the short week that we had against Green Bay. Not to use that as an excuse, because I don't think that should be an excuse, but the reality is it can have an impact, I guess. But again, Washington came out and opened the game. Actually, it's the game opener. We received the kickoff, and Debo opens the game with I think 69-yard, 59 or 60 yards return into Raiders territory, and then Washington began the game on their opening drive with 5 consecutive runs, not a single pass. That topped off that drive with a 3-yard touchdown run by Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
And so, for that to come out by design to say we're here to run the ball, pound the rock from start to finish. And it was a prelude to what ultimately happened throughout the game. But it was just very interesting that they did not, on their opening drive, throw a single pass, all runs.
Right. Yeah, they definitely set the tone for the day. And I know they're setting the tone to the defense and kind of dictating their will, but I think they're dictating the tone to the offensive line. And they already knew they were going to go into it with this game plan. I'm sure. But then once you start doing it, offensive lines typically like to run the ball. I mean, as an offensive lineman, they love running the ball with success, more so than passing with success, right? You enjoy winning, whatever gets you success, you'll do. But if you ask an offensive lineman, hey man, would you rather be dominant running the ball or dominant passing? An offensive lineman is going to say, we want to run the ball. We will run it down their throats. And that's what they did. The running backs, I mean, we thought we would see a lot more of Bill, and we did, but it was a group effort, right? All 3 running backs got involved, and Washington ended up rushing for I think it was 201 yards or something like that. Yeah, 201 yards for the day. And like I said, it was a team running effort. And don't leave out Mariota, because there was several design plays for Mariota to run. So
yeah. It was certainly a balanced attack. Whether it was by design or not, it ended up being a balanced attack. To your point, as a team for Washington, they rushed for 32 carries, 201 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And Mariota passed for 207 yards. So 400 and something yards of offense there. Right. And that's pretty balanced. But you can't get much more balance than that. And I want to correct myself here. Debo opening kickoff was 69 yards, not 60 yards. So going to correct the stat there. Don't want people to think we don't know what we're talking about here, Ken.
Well, but, yeah. Well, and after that play, Washington never looked back, right? That was the drive, to your point that you mentioned, having 5 or 6 runs in a row after that to score the touchdown, and Washington never trailed in this game. Right. Once we scored, we never trailed in the game. And I want to talk about the defense here in a minute, but I got an odd stat, and there was a bunch of big plays on yesterday, right? Whether it was the opening kickoff, whether it was the punt return, Jeremy McNichol had his big run. Even Luke McCaffrey got involved in it. With those guys, when looking at the stats, the next gen stats of the speed of these guys, what their top speed was running, Washington, and I'd be interested, because I'm going to go ahead and bet that since they've been doing next gen stats, this probably hasn't happened before. Washington had 5 guys reach 20 miles an hour or faster. Jalen Lane, Terry McLaurin, Luke McCaffrey, Debo Samuel, Jeremy McNichols. 5 guys that topped out at 20 plus miles an hour. And those were 5 of the top, basically dozen fastest ball carriers of the week.
Well, it's interesting that you point those out because those turned out to be all of our explosive plays,
Correct.
right, during the game. And when you think about the explosive plays, guys were running, right? Them guys were hauling, you know what?
Yeah.
A kickoff return by Jaden Lane. I mean, a punt return by Jaden Lane. He's hauling. Debo with the 69-yard kickoff, hauling. Jeremy Nichols, man, breaking through 4 tackles. Looks like he's about to be stopped near the line of scrimmage. Pops out and off to the house. He's gone. So, he's burning, right?
Yeah.
Then you got Terry streaking down the sideline for his record breaking play. He's hauling, right? And then Luke coming across with the slant, catches the ball, trying to get his first career touchdown. He's hauling and taking it to the house for 40-something yards. So every one of those were explosive plays. And so it does, when you sit back and think about it, it's like, yeah, I guess so. They were running max speed at that point,
Right. Right.
trying to score on each of those possessions. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. And I mean, for the day across the entire NFL, there were only 14 people who were over 20 miles an hour.
And we had 5 of them.
We had 5 of the 14.
Wow.
Right.
Nice.
So it's not only explosive plays, but it tells you offensively we've got some fast people, right?
Yeah.
Even at the running back.
Yeah.
I mean, because Debo carried the ball several times yesterday, but Terry McLaurin, I'm not Terry McLaurin, Jeremy McNichols, who most of us would think he's third or fourth running back. I mean, not fourth now that Eckler's out, but he's almost kind of one of the forgotten guys when you start naming off the running backs, and he hit 20 miles an hour.
Yeah,
So
the 9-year vet, man, he showed up. And I want to also mention, I mentioned that, alluded to Terry 50-yard, 56-yard, I'm going to call it a touchdown catch because it should have been a touchdown.
Yes.
After all the reviews and everything I've seen online, Terry knee never hit the ground. And so it should have been given a 57-yard touchdown. But they shorted him a yard for 56-yard catch. And that catch pushed Terry into number 5 on the Washington Commanders all-time receiving list. He's sitting simply behind, I got to sit here, Gary Clark, Santana Moss, Gary Clark, Charlie Taylor, and the great Art Monk. So congratulations to Terry on that, man. So give him a round of applause, Ken.
Absolutely. And when he was doing his catches and they were doing the reviewing, we heard the chants, Terry, and we're hearing it more this year. And even the other players that are not Terry are even encouraging it, right? They're waving their hands like, yeah, bring it, show that love for Terry. And yeah, it was a good day. Yesterday was a good day offensively. On the defensive side of the ball, Washington has had a history in the past of being the slump breaker, right? The Raiders rookie running back Gentry. I keep on wanting to say Gentry, but it's Genty, no R in there.
There you go. Good job.
He hasn't done well the first 2 weeks, and my concern was, man, he's kind of going to maybe not like go off, but he's going to have a truly solid game. And the Washington Commanders are like, nah, not maybe week 4, but this isn't happening in week 3. And they basically shut down the run for the most part up until the last, 7-8 minutes when it didn't matter, and they were kind of playing prevent, and they're getting some big chunk yards here and there. I think at like the end of the third quarter, they had like 53 yards rushing, and they were trying a lot, right? It wasn't like they gave up on the run by any means. Washington was taking care of them.
Yeah, man. This game reminded me a lot of week 1. The opponent was unable to run the ball. They got pressure on the quarterback and made the opponent's offense just look very anemic. You're right. Ashton Genty, 17 carries, man, for 63 yards. He was at a 3.7 yard average. As a team, the entire Raider team carried the ball for 28 times for 93 yards. As a team, they carried the ball less than 100 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3.3 yard average. So the defensive front, what the front office did in the offseason, trying to beef up the defensive line to stop the run, thus far seems to be a good solution that they've done.
Right.
And as you can see on the screen there, Javon Kinlaw is leading the pack. Seeing that guy in person, granted, we're not on the field, but you're seeing him there in person. We heard reports about it during the offseason. He's a huge guy,
Right.
and he plays very violently as well. And so if you're ever watching the highlights or watching on TV, man, that guy, he just throws people around. But nonetheless, the defensive front as a whole is playing very, very well, and they are controlling the run. You go back to the Green Bay game. Green Bay didn't really run all over us.
Yep.
They
Yep.
they the tight end had a career day, but it wasn't because of the running back going off.
I was going to mention that, but
And
yeah,
so at this point, man, the defensive front is the real deal. Through 3 games for sure, getting the pressure, and again, not to put any pour any salt on this a little bit. I just want to say I just personally want to see them to do it against some of the higher quality teams. The
sure.
Giants in week 1, yeah, they're professionals. I get it. But they don't have that star player, nor are they predicted to be a great team. Las Vegas Raiders, first year head coach. Um, they're trying to turn things around in Las Vegas. And again, they drafted Genty, but yet they still have some issues on the offensive line. And so we dominated the teams we're supposed to dominate. But a true test is going to be a better quality opponent, because those are the types of teams you're going to play in the playoffs. And I want to see it done there before I can say this has truly been a success. But so far, so good, man. You,
Yeah.
you can only play who's on your schedule, and they've been able to do as such. And 2 out of the three games, they've manhandled these guys.
Yeah. And to your point, this isn't necessarily a measuring stick, other than the fact that, if the Raiders and the Giants end up being a bottom 10 team, which they both very well could be, you handled them like they were a bottom 10 team, right?
Correct.
It didn't come down to the last 5 minutes or the last drive to beat them or to keep them from scoring. You're not sitting on the edge of your seat with a minute and a half to go. They put these teams away, they handled them, and that's what you're supposed to do. But you are going to need to play better against the top quality teams and walk away with wins if you plan on not only going to the playoffs but having success in the playoffs. And to me, I look at this Raiders game as a get right game. Right? It is what they can do. Now, are they going to do that? Against all the NFL? I'm sorry, all the playoff caliber teams, maybe not as much, but it gets you going and figuring out what you do well, what you don't do well. And because this year's team, it feels like it's an upgrade from last year's team, but it's also a different team. And the strengths and weaknesses, I mean, we saw them make some adjustments already on the offensive line for 1 week. It seemed to work. We'll see what happens next week, whether it's injuries that you need to make these adjustments on, or just who's your starter and who's your backup. You need the best team every single week in the NFL, and they pushed all the right buttons this past week to get the job done.
Yeah, and to your point, man, the changes on the offensive line, I had no problem with it. We know it will change again, because once Sam Cosmi come back, the right guard position will change again. But it was interesting and also a little bit telling with the changes. The right and left tackle remained the same, the center remained the same, but they swapped out the right guard Allegretti for Wiley. Wiley played right tackle for us last season, but then they moved him into he's going to be a swing tackle, but for this game, they made him right guard. And then second year player Brandon Coleman, who played left tackle last season, they moved him to left guard for the first 2 games, has had some issues. And this was certainly not this was a coach's decision to essentially bench Brandon Coleman and went with uh, Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I, I almost called him something else, man. But little inside joke there that Ken and I have about Chris Paul. But nonetheless, Chris Paul was put in place of Brandon Coleman, and that's interesting because Brandon Coleman was a second round pick.
Yeah.
And then you got Chris Paul, who's stayed on the team. This is his 4th year, I think, and kind of been on and off, up and down, practice squad, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But man, it seems as if the changes worked. But again, I want to caution that for myself, maybe even for others, that it was against the Raiders. Good team, not great team.
Right.
And then I want to quickly say, for all of the people on social media that are talking about maybe Mariota should continue to remain the starter for a few more weeks because the offense is running better without him, stop it. Stop it, man. Listen.
There's almost no need to even address that.
Yeah. I'm just gonna
But
say,
I will,
just stop it.
but I will say, with the success that we had this week, the success we had when he played last year in the offense, the offense kept chugging along. Right. I'm not saying that it could have been better with Jaden this week and then the couple games last year, but it keeps chugging along, and that leads us and the coaching staff to be a little more careful with Jaden's knee injury. Right? Is it just barely a knee injury? Then okay, maybe he'll play next week. But if it's something that another week would get him at truly 100%, and let Mariota do his thing, right?
Yeah.
And not only because we have a long season, but because Mariota he's not a train wreck. Some backup quarterbacks are, man, the drop off is so dramatic that you just assume you're going to lose the game.
Right. No, I agree. I think there is some comfort level with Marcus Mariota being the backup here, and the team clearly has the luxury to kind of hold Jayden out a little bit longer if they feel the need to do so. Right. There's some comfort there. They're knowing that we'll be okay with Marcus behind center. That being the case, speaking of Jayden being injured, we talked about prior to the season when we made our season predictions record-wise, and one of the things that brought up was Washington was able to remain relatively healthy last year. And boy, right, is that the complete opposite through 3 games this year. The last 2 games has really done a number on our team with injuries. And we're not talking about guys getting nicked up and maybe missing 3-4 weeks. We're talking some season-ending injuries here. Right. And yesterday was no different. Safety Will Harris out with a broken fibula. Dan Quinn has already confirmed it. And there's, obviously he mentioned, he potentially come back. But, look, man, that's half the season gone at least, right?
Right.
So they did sign Darnell Savage, was a first-round pick, 21st overall in the 2019 draft. He was drafted by Green Bay, played 4 or 5 years for them, and the last 2 he played with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he was at home, just like you and I. Much better shape, I'd add, but he was at home just like you and I, man, and he got the call. And so he will be coming in just like Preston Smith came in last week. But one more injury that is major. And then you throw on the fact we'll know more as the week goes on about the other guys. Marshawn Lattimore was cleared. He had a concussion, but he was cleared.
Right.
Terry was held out due to a quad injury, and I don't know if that was severe or just precautionary, simply because the game was out of reach. And then you have Trey Amos. I don't remember what his injury was, but Trey Amos got banged up as well. And it's like, man, there's only, you can test your depth only so far before it really catches up with you. But
Right.
hopefully we can get all these injuries out of the way, and this team can stay healthy the rest of the season when it really counts. So, but man, quite the difference between last year and this year.
Well, it comes down to coaching and your depth, right? A lot of teams, and right now I don't doubt that there's some positions where there's a bigger drop off than others, but because we don't have a lot of truly big dollar players, you can afford to have a little bit better backups than some teams do. Um, and because of Washington and the way they've put together the team for the last couple of years, they've encouraged um, uh, everybody trying to be a starter, right? Competition, and it's not just words, right? You see, people getting cut, people, all of a sudden you're like, oh, he's the backup, man. I thought for sure he would start, and it's not that player isn't still a solid player. It's just somebody stepped up and is better.
Case in point, Chris Paul got the start. They said he had a great camp, and he's been playing better, and he deserved the reps, so they gave him a start.
Right,
To your point, you talk about guys that are undrafted are making the team over guys that were drafted.
right,
Quinn and those guys have talked about, they do not care where you was drafted. It's about competition, and the guy that deserves to play will get a chance to play. If the guy deserves to make the team, he's going to make the team, and they have proven that over the first 2 years that they've been here. So kudos to them. And to your point about the depth, man, it was the one thing that jumped out to me uh, for this game on Sunday was simply the young guys stepping up. To see Jalen Lane finally gets his moment, Luke McCaffrey finally getting his moment, right?
yep,
Bill, still doing what he's doing and not dropping off. And it was just good to see, um, between our youth and our backups stepping in, right? The Jerry McNichols, Marcus Mariota, all the guys that are coming in to replace the starters, and yet to your point, we don't see the major drop off. And I think there was an article uh, in the was it the Washington Post, Ken? I think the Washington Post that talked about the backups um,
oh yeah,
stepping in to do this thing and keep this thing afloat, man, while starters are out. And so it was just kind of good to see. Yeah, there it
yeah,
is.
yeah. Back
Uh,
back and running,
Back up
back
and
up,
running.
running. Yep,
And so the backups really just, have stepped up, you know, and it's been good to see. And so that speaks to the depth of the team and what the coaches have been able to do. And so we're going to have to really lean in and lean on that, because well, these injuries early on, man, like I said, these haven't been small injuries. These have been some major injuries. So
sure. And some of the guys are going to come back, right? Bates is going to be back. Jaden's going to be back, but there's also going to be more injuries. People that are out a week or two, or maybe just the rest of the game. And you got to be ready. You got to be ready.
yeah,
Um, I, we touched on it briefly, but man, this was a other than a missed field goal, this was a dominating performance from a special teams.
yes,
He missed the first field goal, but then he kicked two that were 40, like I don't recall off the top of my head. I should have looked it up, like 47 and 52, 53, something like that.
I thought it was
Um,
56. I thought he
was it that
kicked.
far? Okay, but I mean, he came back and kicked two field goals that were further. I mean, to me, we talked about it. He should have made that first one. It's in the NFL, that's almost getting close to a gimme. But instead of getting rattled, he came back and nailed the next two. At the same time, the coverage against the Raiders, man, they caught the ball and they were tackled. From a punt perspective, on the kickoffs, they never. I don't think they got even to the 30-yard line on any of the kickoffs. And then from a a kickoff return, kickoff return and punt return. Debo Samuel and Jaden Lane, they were trouble, right? Even when they didn't break them, they were getting more than average yardage. We were up across the 30, I think, just about every time.
Yeah. Yeah, we were never threatening this game. And like I said, we talked about the stars of Vegas and Brock Bowers, 4 catches for 38 yards. Matt Crosby, 7 tackles, 1 sack. He didn't wreck the game like we were concerned he might, playing on against the rookie Josh Connolly. They talked about Geno's ability to sling the ball, the arm that he has, and he just didn't have the ability and the time to do it. I mean, he threw for 289, 3 touchdowns. Not a bad day, but a lot of that.
If all you're doing is looking at the stats, you thought
Right.
he didn't have a bad day. But you watch the game, take away the last, like I said, 7 minutes of the game. Yeah.
And that's what I was gonna say. A lot of that stat padding came toward the end when the game was out of reach, and so he was able to make those numbers look a little bit better. So, including one of the touchdowns came late in the game. So yeah, it was a good dominant performance by Washington once again. But I'm going to hold reserve judgment, man, until they can have a good game against a good quality opponent. They did what they needed to do, but these aren't the teams you need to be beating late in the season.
Yeah.
Because these aren't the teams that are going to be in the playoffs. So you got to be able to do that.
Yeah. And, we'll do another podcast, but Washington will be facing Atlanta. Atlanta didn't have a good week this past week, but they're definitely considered a playoff team coming into this season. The moves that they made, the players that they have that they've had success with in the past. It's I think it's a better test coming up next week against Atlanta. We'll see what Atlanta team we get, but so we can talk about that on the next podcast.
Absolutely.
Any other thoughts you have on this one?
Nah, man, that's it, man. It was good. Your boys are 2-0 in DC for this season.
Yeah.
And so hopefully we can keep it going. And I'm just glad that the team was able to kind of bounce back, to your point, maybe get a little bit of confidence, realize this thing isn't as bad as what it was, 10 days ago. And so it was just good to see, man, and something to celebrate. And again, it's good. It's good. It's a good win.
Yeah. Well, the panic in Washington just faded away that quick, right? We recognize it was the Raiders, but there's not a level of panic that there was last Thursday night, Friday morning.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What a difference a week will make in
Absolutely.
the NFL. So,
absolutely. But that's all I got, man.
Yep, that's all I got. Until next time, peace out, knuckleheads.
Peace out, y'all.